5 things you didn't know about the main cast of Fairy Tail. Natsu, Gray, Lucy, and Urza are all main characters in Fairy Tail, but there are still many things you may not know about them. Few anime have as large a main cast as Fairy Tail. While many focus on 1 or 2 characters, Dragon Ball, or have a cast with robust side characters, One Piece, few have a core 4 quite like Fairy Tail. Natsu, Gray, Lucy, and Urza are without a doubt all main characters, each having multiple story arcs that delve into their past and beyond. Curiosity number 1 about the characters of Fairy Tail. Lucy was originally meant to use cards rather than keys. Lucy was going to throw cards to summon her spirits. Mashima smartly axed that idea as it'd been used repeatedly, especially by Kana, who was part of the same guild as Lucy. While Kana rarely fought, you always want to avoid redundancy as often as you can as an author. Another tidbit is that initial designs had her with curly locks that split into 2 ponytails. It'd give her a look that many anime use for rich young girls, of which Lucy would be. The design they went with worked far better, helping skew certain cliches and making Lucy who she is. Curiosity number 2 about the characters of Fairy Tail. Lucy is named after a Beatles song. Anyone who's ever listened to the Beatles knows the song in question. It's one of their many hits, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Hiro Mashima is on record in stating he came up with the name while listening to the song. It's a cool tidbit that not every character's name is meant to be a reference to something. Sometimes it's a spur of the moment. Inspiration for names can be found anywhere. That said, the name and song are very fitting considering that she's a celestial mage and that when she's first introduced, she's incredibly vain. Curiosity number 3 about the characters of Fairy Tail. Natsu was named Salamander due to Japanese mythology. Most assume the name comes from salamanders being similar in look to dragons, both being lizards. That isn't the case, however. The meaning is more ingrained in Japanese mythology, relating to a tale of a fire that consumed an entire forest. As the fires died down, the only creature that remained was the salamander. This hints at them both being resistant to flames, but also able to absorb them. There isn't a more apt description for someone like Natsu, who is practically the living embodiment of the flame. Curiosity number 4 about the characters of Fairy Tail. Natsu was meant to have horns. Originally Natsu was meant to have horns, likely to pay homage to the fact that his father was Igneel, a dragon. Thankfully, they didn't go that route as it would have been a little too on the nose. His character works far better being more humanoid than some hybrid. That's not to say some of the forms, like the one pictured above, don't look amazingly badass. They do, but that feeling would have been lessened if he simply walked around his everyday life like that. It's the reason even the author made a joke about it during the Edelas arc. Curiosity number 5 about the characters of Fairy Tail. Natsu's scarf is made of Igneel scales. This one is both sad and heartwarming at the same time. With someone like Natsu, you had to assume that the scarf he always wore was more than just a fashion choice. For the longest time, all we knew was it had immunity to his flames, explaining why it survived his fights. It's later revealed that it's the scales of his foster father, Igneel. Not only that, it possessed the ability to absorb magic, as shown in episode 101 during the Tenro Island arc. It manages to keep Natsu safe from Ziraph's death predation, at the expense of its all-white coloring.